Hey guys, this is Andrea with Go Diaper Free, and I'm going to record episode 159 now about Gassy and Fussy Babies, 5 ways to help your baby fuss less and unlock more success with pottying them with elimination communication. So let's do it. And definitely hit subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be aware of my next video coming up, and like this video so more people learn about EC and the podcast. Welcome to the Go Diaper Free podcast, where we're all about helping you potty your baby as early as birth. I'm your host, Andrea Olson, author and mom of 5 babies, all EC'd from birth, all out of diapers by walking. This is episode 159, Gassy, Fussy Babies. 5 ways to help your baby fuss less and unlock more success with elimination communication, or EC. So you can read the written version of today's show, as always, over at godiaperfree.com/159. where I'll also link to anything I mentioned in today's episode, and I will reply to comments over there, so come on by and let's have a conversation when you're finished. Anyone who's tried to decode their newborn baby's various cries and fusses knows that it can be virtually impossible. Is baby hungry, tired, cold, uncomfortable, in pain? Or for those of us doing elimination communication, does my baby have to go potty? And maybe wants the diaper removed first? I've found it extremely helpful to look into Dunstan baby language. From this, I realized that the cry for discomfort was my baby's signal that she needed to go potty. And you can find out more about Dunstan at the show notes. However, what if your baby cries and fusses all the time? What do you do then? If you set her down, so let me know if you've done this. You set down your baby. He or she fusses within moments, every single time, and you basically can't set down your baby ever. What then? And there's a picture of my 5th baby, Twyla, crying, laying on this little orange quilt when she is just about 6 weeks old, I think. And I posted on Instagram. I posted 4 different pictures of the various stages of this wild crying. So if your baby won't nap without being worn in the baby carrier, won't sleep unless you heroically rock her for 45 minutes straight and then very, very carefully put her down without bothering her, will cry if the car is not racing down the road. If all this sounds familiar and you set her down and she starts to freak out and cry immediately, figuring out EC signals inside all of these fusses can be crazy making. So today I'm going to give you some advice that I've given several mamas over the years, and something that I truly didn't fully decode until after my 5th baby, Twyla, was born a few years ago. And for this episode, I'm just going to share with you, basically this is inspired from a text that I sent to my friend Michelle, who just had a new baby. And her baby's 3.5 months old now, but she was only about 3 or 4 weeks old at the time. And her baby's name is Lumina. All right. Number 1. These are the 5 reasons we might have fusses and what to do about them. Number 1, tongue tie or lip tie. So if your baby is so fussy and so gassy and inconsolable and has any of the symptoms I've already shared here, first, rule out tongue tie or lip tie. Do a Google search for photos of both. And I have added a couple of images for this over the show notes, godiaperfree.com/159. Open your baby's mouth. Don't be afraid to handle him or her. Lift up the lip and see if the middle part is attached right at the top of where the teeth will be someday. Twyla had a double, 4 out of 5 lip tie. And at the bottom, I have a picture of a tongue tie that's like a full tongue tie. A tongue tie can be inverted, and you actually can't see the connection of the tissue between the bottom of the tongue and the top of the bottom of the mouth. In any case, look for photos and compare and see, and put your finger in there and see if you can feel. A heart-shaped tongue while crying is one telltale sign, as is crying every time she's laid down, and smacking like this at the breast, losing their latch easily, etc. There are lots of symptoms of tongue tie or lip tie. So do a little research, Look at these pictures and you'll see what I mean. A tongue tie or lip tie can be resolved through a zap from a laser. And that's not the hard part. The hard part is the exercises you have to do the next 3 weeks to make sure it doesn't reattach, involving some Q-tips and stretching and things. But when I had Twyla's resolved, it was like instantly changed baby. She no longer was sucking in all this air, which was causing her immense gas and major, major issues. Every time I laid her down, she just hurt because of the gas, because she couldn't, like, she was getting plenty of milk, but she was getting so much air because of her ties. You're basically lifting up your tongue every time you're suckling each time, and the tongue's getting tired out, the lips getting tired out, the whole mechanism is not being efficient, and then there starts to be a break in the latch and air gets sucked in, and then there's gas bubbles in the baby. So that leads to the second reason why your baby might be super gassy or fussy, and a way to help your baby fuss less so that we can unlock more signals on EC. Because if they're fussing all the time because they have a tongue tie or lip tie, which was number one, you're not going to be able to find out very many signals for EC because your baby's going to be crying all the time and you're going to be frazzled, just to be plain and honest. I think that Kaiva and Isadora both probably had a tongue tie or a lip tie, but they do resolve themselves over time, usually by the time child's a little bit older, like a few years older, and sometimes sooner than that. Sometimes they never resolve. I had a boyfriend in college who had a bit of a tongue tie, and he just couldn't stick his tongue out that far. That's it. So anyway, worthwhile, and these are ways to get your baby to fuss less, is by ruling that out and getting it resolved if you choose to do so, if you find one. Number 2 is gas bubbles. I asked my friend, have you used Milacon before? It moves gas bubbles straight through. So it's basically these droppers. You can get them at any drugstore, and just put the amount that it says, like 5 to 10, I don't remember exactly what it is, in your baby's mouth directly with the little thing. And they swallow it. It goes straight through their body and gathers up the gas bubbles as it goes. That's my unscientific take on it. So that could help your baby fuss less if you start to move those gas bubbles through by using something called Milacon. Another thing that can help your baby fuss way less is your diet. So if you are exclusively breastfeeding, cruciferous vegetables in particular in mom's diet can upset the baby's gut. Broccoli and kale, look those up. Cabbage, there's a whole list of them. And any type of dairy can also mess with the baby. And really any allergy that you're passing, like the baby's allergic to something you're eating. So you can do the elimination diet and all this other stuff to try to figure out what that is. But definitely look that up if the first 2 do not apply to you, because a change in your diet could help your baby be a lot less fussy, and then you can find way more signals for EC. The 4th way to get your baby to fuss less is to change when you're doing EC from the classic EC position, which is hands under the thighs, baby's back leaning up against your body, which if you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, I'm going to demonstrate right now. Like this. Okay. Change from that to the cradled classic EC position, which is by putting them into the crook of your elbow, holding their thighs, and aiming like this. Okay, so changing to the cradled classic position can help your baby fuss a lot less. Baby belly massage can irritate gassy babies. Classic EC position can irritate a gassy baby. So try to hold your baby close in the cradled classic position for EC. Try running water to soothe and help your baby relax, singing, shushing, whatever helps you. If you use a pacifier, you can use that. Just want to make the EC position when you are pottying them a lot easier so that they're less fussy in general. And then they're relieving themselves regularly, and you'll have overall a better time detecting signals, right? Number 5, the 5 S's for soothing baby from the book Happiest Baby on the Block, which is linked to from the show notes. I've definitely tried all of these. Number 1 is swaddle. 2, and you do all these at the same time. So swaddle the baby. 2, have them in a side lying or stomach position in your arms. 3rd is shushing, shh, 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 and you have to do it really loud. 4th is swing them back and forth so they're on their stomach, they're swaddled, you're shushing, you're swinging them. And 5, they need to be sucking on something, whether it's your breast or a pacifier. And those flat pacifiers, I don't find that the all natural whatever ones work. I think the Nook ones work pretty well, and the newbie ones work pretty well. And none of my children have gotten attached to their pacifiers because I just used it strategically. Did you know that Amish women often use pacifiers? Yes, because they have so many babies and so many children that they need a little extra help. So when you do all these together, that's supposed to soothe your baby. But I found that, number one, the ties, the tongue and lip ties, were key to my fifth baby's fussiness. And this is what I've said to her. I told her, that's it. This will pass, as you know, so hang in there. I have other thoughts. Just start there, especially with the tie rule out. Resolving Twyla's tongue and lip ties at 8 weeks completely changed her. I wish I would have known about ties with my first and second baby. So that was the extent of my text to my friend Michelle. Hopefully that will help some of you. I think a lot of people will do the 5 S's from Happiest Baby on the Block because, and that's Harvey Karp's book, because they don't know that their baby actually needs to go potty. So you're already way ahead of them, all of you listening, because you're doing EC or you're at least trying it. When we add in ruling out all these other things, ways to deal with gas in your diet and the potty position we're using, and if there are ties, that is awesome. Then we're going to get to the bottom of why is baby so fussy. So with Lumina, turns out it was a tongue tie and they did get it resolved. Luckily here in Asheville, we have the foremost expert doctor in the nation for resolving ties. And she is now a much less fussy baby, and elimination communication is going swimmingly for them. They've even been like, where I gave them a bunch of hand-me-down undies and trainers and stuff. They're like, where can we get more? This is awesome. They have their top hat potty and everything. But they really couldn't start EC because she was so fussy. So once we got this out of the way, there you have it. EC is great now. For you listening, I hope that this episode has given you some ideas and a starting point for decoding your baby's various fusses and cries, because goodness knows they have them. Remember, speaking of fusses, the first fuss after you feed your baby is usually a signal that your baby needs to go potty. Use this one as a starting point. Also, check out my other podcast episodes and blog posts to learn more about signals. In specifically, I would like for you to check out number 27, which is baby signals, stopping, starting, and changing. Number 80, no signals, no patterns. And number 113, signs versus signals in elimination communication. Plus my YouTube video on Baby Signals 101. I've linked to all of those in the show notes, which are at godiaperfree.com/159. I hope this episode was helpful, and please feel free to share it with any other parents who are suffering from the hours on end baby crying and fussing, despite them trying all the things to soothe their baby, especially if they want to try EC and that's getting in the way. Please comment over at the show notes. How have you dealt with your baby's fussiness and gassiness? Have you discovered tongue ties or lip ties with any of your babies? What have you done? Please share over there. We love learning from each other over at the blog. And I'll talk to you soon. Till next time, happy pottying, y'all. I'm Andrea Olson, and you've been listening to the Go Diaper Free podcast at godiaperfree.com. I'll see you soon. That's it. That was a mouthful. I feel like I have a tongue tie now. Please comment below in response to our questions. How have you dealt with your baby's fusses and gassiness? Have you discovered ties? Have you discovered something else? Please comment below, hit the bell and subscribe, and like this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.